How's it, Bills Mafia? Lance Nelson here. To my left, Scott Casson. To my right, Benjamin Shoop. Terry McLaurin officially requests a trade. He's going to the Bills, right, guys? What's up, Shoop?
Nothing much, nothing much. I mean, one can obviously hope, but I would be very, very shocked if if he does get traded, it is to the Bills. But yeah, either way, excited to kind of see how some of these things roll out with some of these players. You know, he's still got Trey Hendrickson, who said he's reporting now, even though he's still got his contract extension up in the air. But luckily, the Bills don't have anybody that they have to worry about requesting a trade or threatening to skip out on camp.
He's not getting traded. Just how the game works. You hold out and then you hold in and then you request a trade and then they pay you. Like they're not trading them, and it's definitely not to the Bills. They would have to do some major cap gymnastics to make that work. But in happier news, we got football tonight. Real life NFL almost football. I think we got Trey Lance and DJ Uyunglele battling it out. Battle of once two big-time prospects. Now starting in the Hall of Fame game, so it tells you where their careers went. But we got football to watch. We got balls on a field and guys hitting each other. So I'm excited about it.
Hopefully there's feet on the field and not too many balls. But, yeah, anyway, I think that super excited that an NFL football game will be played tonight. You mentioned very strong pronunciation there. I'm not even going to try. So you already won the day with that. So congratulations to Scott for being a very good pronunciator. Yeah, very, very tough. So I pronounce that name quite a lot, obviously. I'm humble. So, yeah, Terry McLaurin obviously would be a fantastic idea. I don't know whether he'll be traded or not. I don't believe the Bills will be getting his services at any point in his career, probably. But it's fun to think about for 5 minutes before you shoot yourself back to reality. Let's go through
There's
a little bit of
Schefter tweet. T. Higgins, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk all requested trades, and then none were traded in their contract negotiations. So happens all the time. Deebo obviously got traded later, but it's just how the game plays. So no one get too excited.
I'm already excited. Too late, and definitely coming to Buffalo. So, yeah.
Next season, I think they will. Yeah.
That'd be great. Obviously, it would be super cool. He's a really great player, but starting to get on the wrong side of Father Time. So we'll see how that all works out. Training camp. So the pads came on this week. Obviously, we're going to have the Blue and Red Scrimmage tomorrow. I'll be there with my son Theo, so I'm not sure I'll actually watch any of it, but we'll try to get some eyes on some guys and see what happens. Always interesting with a 5-year-old out there. So 1 year we had a great turnout, and like Izzy and Peter DiBiase, and I don't know if we saw you there, Ben. Were you in the whole group and everything?
Yeah, well, I think I ended up meeting up with you guys during it.
Right, exactly. So like Peter's girlfriend was helping watch Theo. My mom was there, so it was great. I was actually able to watch the most of it. But this year it's going to be solo dad with a 5-year-old, so we'll see. I'll have to keep him on my shoulders, hopefully, to get some eyes on the game a little bit. But training camp's rolling on, and it's like the pads came on and some injuries popped up. So let's just go through that a little bit, guys. Max Hairston sprained LCL was a little bit of a scary thing that we had to, wait quite a bit. We waited over 24 hours, I believe, before anything really got confirmed, and it was just a little bit of a holding your breath type of situation. Luckily, probably the best prognosis we could hope for, really, 2 to 4 week recovery time. So just talk a little bit about how relieved you may have been that the Bills kind of dodged a bullet there.
Yeah, it didn't look good. Whenever you hear non-contact knee injury, you always think the worst. So like you said, probably best case scenario, just a sprained LCL, probably the least valuable of the CLs anyway, so who needs it? But 2 to 4 weeks, going to be back. We'll miss probably all of training camp. Well, all of training camp, probably all of the preseason, but sounds like it should be in line to be back for week 1. With how good Trey White has looked this training camp, he probably wasn't going to be the week 1 starter anyway. So obviously it sucks that he's going to miss all of these reps, but could have been a lot worse. And hopefully it doesn't slow down his rookie season too much. Probably on a similar schedule to what Cole Bishop was on last year. He had that shoulder injury in camp, missed most of camp. They brought him along slow, and his reps went up every week. And then by the end, he was starting sometimes, and so that was kind of more out of necessity. But Max Harrison, probably start him off slow. He plays more every week, and then maybe by week 5, 6, 7, if things are going well, he can take over that starting position. Or who knows, maybe Tre White looks like 2017 out there and doesn't give it up. But yeah, definitely relieved it's not an ACL. Sad for that he's going to miss preseason, but could have been way worse.
Yeah, it's probably the only time that you'll be happy to hear about a sprained LCL for like a player, or happy about a certain injury, just because, obviously there were the scares about the torn ACL. So it is very good news that it is not. So, I mean, these things happen. You obviously hope it doesn't happen to a first round pick. The Bills have obviously dealt with injuries in the past, and like Scott said, they do have plans, especially for when it comes to, rookies, maybe easing them in, especially, with an injury, they'll ease him back in. So, yeah, definitely big news that it's not the torn ACL. Wish it wasn't anything, but at the end of the day, you're happy, I guess, that it's a sprained LCL.
I don't even know if I have LCLs, to be honest with you, but I guess we'll roll on from there. Yeah, I'm super happy that Max is going to be able to get back and not miss a full year. So we'll go with that and be thankful for sure. Are all the injuries in a whole, as a whole, excuse me, a concern for you guys? For me, I'd say I'm about like, if it was a month later, then I'd be concerned about all these guys right now. But I think like it's sort of common. There's a lot of injuries out there sort of at this point in some training camps. And I think like guys are going to get rest days. They're going to be conservative. Like I'm not overly concerned really at all that these guys are missing some time right now. Also kind of gives, and we'll talk about a couple of scenarios where this is happening. It just gives some guys that we wouldn't really see some chances, right? So I think that overall, from an injury standpoint, I'm not super concerned for the team's health currently. What do you think, Shoop?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really concerned. One, it's football. These things do happen. You wish they didn't, but they do. It obviously, like you said, it's tomorrow's going to be August 1st, so they got time for a lot of these guys to heal up. As long as it's nothing, serious. Obviously, we just talked about Hairston and the threat of it being serious. So you hope that there's nothing else like that this next month or so, or next, honestly, 5-6 months. You hope that there's nothing like that. But yeah, I mean, it's part of the game. Happens with every team. I know some people will think, oh, it's the Bills, they're cursed, so many players get injured. Just look around the league, man. I mean, there's teams left and right, guys are going down like flies. I'm pretty sure the Dolphins cornerback one tore his ACL. So this happens. It's football. That's a physical game. Sucks that it does happen. So I'm not really concerned. I'll be concerned if there is a player though that does get a serious injury. I mean, throughout the next 6 months, but especially in the next few months or a few weeks leading into week 1.
Yeah, obviously you'd prefer no injuries, but that's just not how it works. None of these are that serious, as you guys both said, which is great. And I think, like John said here, the Bills are just being cautious. There's no need to push things yet. If this was during the season, I bet a lot of guys would be practicing in some kind of a limited capacity to try and play. But you're not going to win the Super Bowl on July 31st or August 1st, like Ben said. So is it ideal? No, but it doesn't sound like anybody is going to miss any game time. And when you go, no matter how hard you train in the offseason, when you go from not practicing with the team, not going full speed, to all of a sudden going full speed every day in an NFL training camp, you're going to have some soft tissue injuries. That's just how it goes, no matter how hard you train in the offseason. So guys are going to get healthy. Guys are going to ramp up. And hopefully all of these guys are back in the near future and they get a good training camp and then are good for week 1. But no, it's not a reason to really be concerned yet. You just hope that, these start to slow down as guys get up to speed and get ramped up.
Yeah, 100% agree. Like I say, if it's a few weeks into this August here, we're going to definitely ramp up the concern level. But as it stands now, I think most of it being at the level it's at is not overly concerning. So, the Bills brought back some familiar faces today, or this week, I should say. Deon Cain, wide receiver, and Cameron Klein, defensive lineman. What do you guys think of the two, and how likely is it that they might stick around here in Buffalo at all for the season? Scott, you can go ahead with this one.
I don't necessarily know if either one of them stick on. I know Deon Cain had a really good UFL season. He's been on the practice squad in the past. They've both been on the practice squad in the past, but most likely these are just camp or preseason bodies. He had guys at the bottom of the roster get hurt, so they brought guys on. And unfortunately for these guys, because they're both solid football players, the Bills are just so deep, especially at receiver and on the D-line. So they would have to really show out to make any kind of an impact. Maybe they have a chance of getting on the practice squad, but even that might be kind of a long shot because they have guys they like. But, that's the price you pay when you have a team this good. They're just really deep at positions, and guys are going to filter out at the bottom of that roster. Probably not going to be here when the season comes around, but you never know. But it would be a long shot for either one of them, I think.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. Don't have too much to add than what Scott just said. Pretty much nailed it there. I mean, when it comes to Cain, maybe he sticks around on the practice squad if they want to keep a receiver like Cain. But Klein, I mean, it's just the D-line is so stacked and it's so deep that I just don't see a way of him even making the practice squad. So I don't think either of them will stick around on the practice squad. But, just camp bodies, going to get guys in there that are good athletes and be able to compete still. So they'll at least be able to bring that to the table for the next few weeks. But unfortunately, I don't see them sticking around in the Buffalo Bills uniform.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think, Cain could be a practice squad, like you mentioned. The dude was top 3 in most categories in receiving in the UFL for what it's worth. And 29 catches for 514 yards. So he was like yards per reception, yards per game, that kind of thing were high, but pretty low actual reception total. And the tops in the league was 62. So less than half of that and still more yards than the guy, which is pretty impressive actually. So has some impressive flashes here and there in camp, but it is training camp. We don't know what they're working on during those times, and it's nice to see him continuously get the opportunity here. It wouldn't surprise me if he was able to stick on in the NFL somewhere at some point, given his success when he drops down to a lower level of competition, seems to be able to rise to the top in that scenario, but then gets back to the top level of competition and is sort of practice squad to lower end of a roster type of guy. So maybe somebody can give him a spot, or if things go completely wrong, maybe he'll have more of an impact in Buffalo than we'd ever expect, which I hope to not be the case, knock on wood here. So Tyler Bass dealing with pelvic soreness. Do you think they're going to bring another are they going to bring in Miles Finch? No, but do you think they'll bring another kicker in? They had 2 punters in at some point and had to release one. With the numbers, it's probably hard just kind of let Tyler go through this. I listened to the presser from the special teams coach the other day, and he had pretty good praise for Tyler. So, I'm not super concerned, but I don't know too much about this injury. So what do you guys say when it comes to Tyler Bass's injury in the pelvic area?
And unless it lasts until a week or 2 before the season, I don't see them bringing anybody in unless it really lingers for him. Again, I also don't know too much about pelvic soreness. You don't really hear that one a lot when it comes to the NFL. So, we'll see if they bring somebody in. If they bring somebody in, that does tell me they do have some concern with it and concern with Tyler Bass. But, if If they don't, then it just kind of tells you, especially over the next 2 weeks, I think they would bring somebody in if they have some concern. But if they don't, then that kind of just tells me they're good. They know he'll be good, and he should be starting kicker week 1 and going forward.
Yeah, he had kind of a shaky day a couple days ago before they kind of shut him down. So maybe that had something to do with it. I'd be surprised if they bring in another kicker, like you guys said. Just kind of let him get through this. And Tyler Bass is the kicker, you know that. So there's no real need to bring somebody else in unless you're afraid maybe you won't have one for the first preseason game. Then maybe you do. But yeah, just kind of let him work through it. And like we said earlier, just kind of being cautious with everybody, Tyler Bass included, because he is a big part of this team. And he had a shaky start to last season. He was awesome down the stretch. So you hope that carries over into this year, and he's the kicker for years to come. So I don't think they bring anybody else in unless we get to next weekend when it's preseason game time. It's like, who's kicking? And Josh offers to do it, and then we all say no.
I think Reggie Gilliam should just, then he can't cover it, right? No, the kicker still can cover, right? So
only if they like break it down, yeah. Is it the Ocho Cinco could kick, and then who is it? It's the Eric Berry. He could kick, right? The safety for the Chiefs, like he was like a good kicker.
Eric,
they have a guy now,
Eric Reed.
Yeah.
They still, I believe, have him kicking off. Like, I believe last season they did not have on kickoff solely. I'm pretty sure last year they did not have Butker kicking off, and they had Reed kicking off.
That'd be impressive because I don't think he was on the Chiefs last season.
Or 2 years ago. Sorry, 2 years ago.
I don't believe that was the case. But I know they did like once in a blowout in the preseason, but no, they did not do that in games.
Definitely some interesting discussion, though. I think when we first implemented that new kickoff rule, that was the big discussion of like, okay, well, are kickers going to remain in that position, or will you have someone who might be able to get it, to the 5 consistently, kick off, A, to force a return, and B, to have someone that can actually tackle somebody in a face down scenario, or if someone broke one through the ranks. So definitely interesting. All right. Who has impressed us most so far in training camp? I'll start. Tre White coming out looking young again, refreshed, says it's good to be home. And it's super cool. I like watching the press conferences, and I was telling Scott off the air here that, like, we know these guys don't give us a lot in these press conferences, but it's just nice to hear them talk, nice to hear their, see their mannerisms, and sort of like gives you a view into their life. And Tre is just one of those guys you just love to sit and watch talk to the media. For me, I like it. And he's one of those guys obviously that came in and broke the drought, and he's got a special place for Bills Mafia, I think. And nice to see him out there. Said he has his legs. Like, it's really cool. It's something I didn't really expect, I guess. I mean, I knew he was going to be decent out there, but I didn't really expect him to be stellar. Like, I think he's been pretty stellar so far through the camp.
Yeah, Tre is the guy. If he's fully healthy, he can make a difference. Because last season, second half with the Ravens, he played pretty well. Everybody saw him struggle with the Rams, but I don't think he was healthy yet. He was coming off an Achilles, and before that, coming off an ACL. So awesome to see Tre having a good start, and hopefully that goes over. For me, Keon Walker, 4th-round pick, big defensive tackle. If you see him standing next to Daquan Jones or Ed Oliver, like, he makes them look small. He is a guy, if he came out last season, he could have been a 1st-round pick. Dealt with some back injuries this past year, maybe dropped him in the draft a little bit. But if he can stay healthy, he can be a stud. He's 6'7", like 340, and he moves really well. He's not just a block eater like some other one techniques. Like, he can move his feet. So excited to see him, and maybe see him get a bigger role while Ogunjobi's suspended over those first 6 weeks. Maybe he can carve out a nice spot in the rotation.
Yeah, I'm impressed with Josh Allen. No, I'm joking. Obviously, we're all impressed with Josh Allen. I'm impressed with Matt Milano. And, we all knew he was a great football player, but just some of the things that you've seen, heard, read about, whatever you have, sounds like he's ready to have another All-Pro season, like top tier, one of the best linebackers in the game, back to when we saw him as one of the best linebackers in the game. So I'm going to go with him. I know it still is very early, but you've seen him flying all over around the field, heard him just making plays, reading the ball. So I'm excited. I know we talked about, I believe it was last week, we talked about the linebacking duo, and it's just how excited we are for this duo of Matt Milano and Terrell Bernard, if they can fully stay healthy. Again, big if, but if they can stay healthy for the entire season, and how they could potentially be the best linebacking duo in the league. And Milano showing like he can be back to what we knew he can be. So I'm very excited, because one of my favorite players throughout this entire time here, and hoping that he can return to that All-Pro form for the Bills this season. You're muted.
Thank you, sir. My son was playing the drum right above me at times. I wasn't sure how it would come through the audio, so I muted, and then here we are. So honorable mention, Jackson Hawes.
Blaming Theo. That's sad.
I know. Jackson Hawes definitely impressive so far, just how nasty he is and how kind of cold he was when that whole thing went down with Epinesa there. Just kind of, laughed it off after Epinesa came back and, socked him in the face. So super impressive for the young dude so far, and getting some reps in line at the tight end position. And yeah, well, we all know that Benford is really good, so it's not really surprising. I guess he could be impressive, but he's just, kind of expected to be that good. So maybe that's why it's less impressive to us.
Still doesn't have a top 10 Madden rating for cornerbacks, which is wild, but is what it is. It's Madden.
Yeah, but Madden ratings, they're all name recognition.
Yeah, it's true.
We're not the Jets.
Wait till the week 1, week 2 updates come. Get it in there.
I heard that the Jets actually have a higher rated team than the Bills, which is
I think the Browns do too.
With their five quarterbacks combined, just make them a better team, better team than the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah. So who concerns you the most, I guess, so far? Shoop, do you have a guy, or you want to start with Scott?
For me, I mean, I'm not sure if there's anybody that really stands out. Coleman was a guy who, at least at first, you heard the first day had a rough day, but he sounds like he's picking it right back up and now being very impressive. So there's not really anybody that's, for me, standing out a ton. So yeah, I don't really have a specific answer. I guess just the injuries are honestly the thing that's the most concerning. I'm not even really concerned about it. So not a lot for me being concerned right now.
Good positivity, Ben. Scott?
For me, again, don't have like one particular, but special teams as a whole. Tyler Bass not being able to kick obviously isn't great. I only have one punter, and it's Brad Robbins, and he was drafted out of Michigan, I think, by the Bengals a couple of years ago. But I think he was like statistically the worst punter in the NFL. Maybe we're just not going to punt, which would be pretty cool. And I've been playing NCAA, I don't punt, and I've won 2 national championships with New Mexico State. So, like, maybe it's not a bad strategy. And then also returner. They don't have necessarily that guy who's going to be the returner. Codrington is back, but I don't think he makes the team just based on
had a tough day today.
Yeah, and just based on the number of guys that they have to find spots for, someone who's only a returner that can't do anything else, I don't think makes the team there. So Keon can return punts, Shakir can return punts, but you really want your 1 and 2 receivers returning punts, just because it's more chances for them to get banged up and more ways to kind of tire them out. Kick returner is going to matter more this year with touchbacks going to the 35. So I think
that Davis and Ty Johnson can make a big impact at the kick return position, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely they can. And I think that'll end up who's being back there. Maybe Chenault, but haven't really heard his name at all, which when you're a guy on the bubble, probably not great. So
he just started practicing yesterday, right?
Yeah, I think he came back earlier than that, didn't he?
Was it 2 days ago? Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, well, anyway, like it's even worse. Like, the best can't make the club in the tub, as they say. So, yeah, the special teams as a whole just have a lot of question marks there.
Yeah, mine's Cole Bishop, because I think the quad injury pops up here, and hopefully it's one of those things that just isn't nagging and kind of goes away, but you just have concern because the secondary does tend to get banged up season after season. The way they play, their physical style just lends to that. And so to have the quad pop up now, hopefully, again, you just need a little bit of rest and get through it. And we come out of this thing with a fully healthy starting defensive backfield. But we'll see how it plays out. I just, would be nice if he didn't get hurt or wasn't hurt again this preseason. He's missing some time again, and I think he just needs the reps. And we'll see. I mean, I guess that's, if I'm saying overall concern, it's not a major concern. It's just a matter of hoping for the best in that position of safety. Good news.
I want to bring up Mitchell's comment here real quick. I live in Baltimore and I have a Bills flag on my house, so I go through this every day. So keep fighting the good fight out there.
Yeah, we got to go all the way to week 1 until after week 1, and then God forbid if the Bills don't win week 1, you hear about it all the way through until the Bills ultimately end the Ravens season again for another.
I was
year.
fine with how it played out last year.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, the Bills have cleared Spencer Brown to return to practice, so that's some good news there, at least. And I'm hopeful that, like we said, there's a lot of guys making their way back. So what do you guys make of Spencer Brown getting back on the field?
That's good news.
Yeah, always good to have somebody back on the field, especially your starting right tackle. Get him out there, get him helping Josh Allen, James Cook, and even though it would be kind of interesting to see a guy like Grable get the chance, you hope that you don't, at least this season. Maybe down the line if Grable ends up still improving, but yeah, it's you want the guy
got some valuable time though already, right?
Yeah, it's good that he got that time, but you want the guy that you've paid to be your right tackle to be out there, and glad he's back and glad hopefully it's not something that lingers. I don't believe it was supposed to be something that can threaten to linger.
Well, he had surgery, so I think it's kind of a career lingering thing. It's just managing it so it doesn't because that's why he kind of fell in the draft. And there were big concerns about him because of the back issues, but he seems to have figured them out. So yeah, hopefully it doesn't linger because it's been lingering.
Yeah.
All right. If you guys haven't done so, please like and share this on Facebook and X, repost on X, and go on over to YouTube, get in the comments if you're on X, and like and share this as well. Subscribe to that Built in Buffalo YouTube page and help us gain traction in that algorithm. So we are sponsored by Monster Energy, the official energy partner of Built in Buffalo. Go out and grab a beast and unleash the beast today.
You won't find any issues like Celsius with Monster, I'll tell you that.
That's right. No vodka in the Monster unless it's labeled as such. There is a alcoholic Monster beverage to be had if you're into that sort of thing.
Can we get those for the tailgate?
Yeah, maybe. No. Probably a liability thing, and
I meant for us.
It would be all for you because I don't drink, so that'd be great. I'm like the worst Bills Mafia member. I don't even drink. Like, I don't know how to be part of Bills Mafia now.
Sorry, there's plenty of Bills Mafia that doesn't drink out there, so but definitely but yeah, let's get into the offense though, and before we get into a little bit of defense later on. With the offense, there's not really too much to talk about when it comes to Josh Allen, obviously, or the quarterback room. Kind of know what that's like. Running backs, you kind of can't really talk too much about until they really get started, and it started in the preseason. You see how the line's setting up and how the running backs are running in practice. It's a little bit different because they're not really going 100% in practice. So let's talk about the pass catchers a little bit. First guy that I want to talk about, I talked about him a little bit earlier. I almost talked about him as my guy who was concerning me, but he hasn't been really someone to be concerned about recently, and that's Keon Coleman. Did have, as I said, a pretty rough day one from what you heard, but seems like from here on out, he's really picked it up. You know, you heard all offseason how he really took care of himself and took kind of Brandon Beane's criticism to heart. And he's coming back. I believe he found the end zone today from Josh Allen. There's a nice video of that. So, you know, you're feeling like Keon Coleman could take a sizable jump here. And so what do you guys think about just him in general, and what are your kind of expectations from what you're hearing in camp going into the regular season? We'll start with you, Scott.
Yeah, really excited about Keon. After day one, I was ready to block the word separation from my Twitter because I was sick of seeing it. But yeah, Keon's been great. Obviously, we'll have to wait until you play against somebody else. But sounds like he's been winning routes. He's been making his contested catches, which is what he's always going to do, because that's what the Bills brought him in to do. But his route running seems to be crisper. He's never going to be a burner, but if he runs good technical routes, he can get open down the field. And it really sounds like he's taking that step forward to be that X receiver, which the Bills really need him to do, because they brought in a few guys, but they didn't bring in a true number one. And if Keon can be that X receiver, that outside guy who's able to win at the point of the catch and contested catches, and then just get open and routes down the field, it'd be huge for this offense. So excited for Keon. Glad to see that he took Brandon Beane's words to heart this past offseason, put in the work, and I think he could have a big year in this offense, because we saw what a guy like Stephon Diggs did. And obviously Keon is not Stephon Diggs, but it is an offense that can work with a number one receiver. So excited for Keon Coleman, and hope that this continues to go as we reach September and later down the year.
Yeah, showing great balance and concentration, and the strength at the catch point was seemingly very good on that one play where he beats Dane Jackson. So I think he's shown that, and that's going to be literally his strength is being a strong player at the point of the catch, and continuing to show that he can keep his balance when people are trying to knock him off his spot. And so far in camp, he's done a pretty good job of that. He's had a couple of off days, and most days have been pretty good. So I think that Keon Coleman looking good is certainly music to my ears. A guy who was questioning the draft choice, said before the draft that was a prospect that I wish the Bills could avoid, but knew in the back of my mind they were probably strongly targeting him. So happy to see him do well. His press conference, he seemed like he's just like, man, I'm just working my butt off here, and didn't really seem super enthused with the media this past one, where normally he's kind of a character and has been lighter hearted. He seems like he's dialed in, really focused on what he's got to do here. So that's everything I've seen from him so far. I've liked even the bad days. He's responded very well. So got to take some bad with the good there.
Yeah. I mean, you're hoping that he can take that step. He showed flashes last year at certain times, and maybe he'll be the guy that, for me at least, would most likely be that third guy in targets and receptions this year, behind maybe Shakir and Kincaid. So hopefully, maybe he can make a jump into that and solidify himself for being a guy that Josh Allen will love for the future. So we'll see about Keon Coleman, but looking good so far, looking good early. And then the next two up that we got here, we've talked a little bit about like the end of the order battle in the past few shows, but we haven't talked too much about Josh Palmer. Talked a lot about Elijah Moore as well, but Elijah Moore, Josh Palmer, both a little bit banged up, but from what we've been hearing, they seem to be flowing well. They seem to be getting open. Josh Palmer, I've heard really great things about this entire time, about just Josh being able to find him and get open. So what do you guys, when it comes to those two, expecting? Are your expectations for Palmer and Moore going up, or kind of staying around the same mark that they were at about 2-3 weeks ago? What do you think, Lance?
Yeah, I'm just going to admit I didn't realize how cerebral Josh Palmer is, and hearing what Joe Brady had to say about him, hearing him speak himself, and seeing the way he speaks, it kind of gives you a look into how he thinks about things. And he was said to be overthinking about things at times. And it was interesting when I was at camp on the 24th, so last Thursday, they stayed after practice, Palmer and Josh, talking about this comeback route. It was like 10 to 12 yard comeback route, and he just every little detail. Allen was coming out like gesturing to him, and we kind of talked about that last show, I believe, about just how Allen's command was like that. But Palmer was just, eating it up and just really a cerebral player. So my expectations and thoughts of him have increased, and I think that he's going to be a really nice player for the Bills this season. Elijah Moore, when they're doing a lot of different things with him. So I'm on a jet sweep during the practice I was at and different things like that. I think he's just been a lot more involved than I kind of even really expected, even though I thought he could be used pretty well. I just think that I didn't expect him to get the run so early, and it seems like they're really figuring out what they want to do and what they can do with him.
Yeah, I have pretty high hopes for both of them. I'm not saying either one of them is going to have 1,000 yards or anything, but I think they both fit into this offense really well. Both of them can separate, which is a word that, Bills Mafia loves to throw out, separation. Elijah Moore can get open in a phone booth. Like, he's going to win off the line of scrimmage in one-on-one. He's going to beat man coverage. Palmer, the same thing, just a little bit more down the field. His separation rate down the field is awesome. And both of those things are kind of things this offense has been missing outside of the Shakir, who can, get open anywhere. So I'm excited. It seems like both of them are really trying to work hard, like you mentioned, Lance, to get on the same page as Josh Allen, which is huge because Moore's only here for 1 year. And I would say best case scenario is he plays so well that he prices himself out and goes gets a big contract somewhere else. Palmer here for the next 3. So you really want them to build that lasting connection. So I'm excited for the two of them. I wonder, Roy mentioned in the comments about Curtis Samuel, and I had high hopes for him as well. He was the receiver last season that I wanted in free agency and couldn't stay healthy last year. And it seems like maybe that's happening again this year. Hopefully not. There's a long way to go, but Elijah Moore could maybe take reps away from Curtis Samuel, and that'll be interesting because Samuel on a longer-term deal. Moore just here for the season. Who do they give more reps to? But I'm excited about both of them. I think they'll both have a niche in this offense, and both seem to fit into the everybody eats mantra because they don't need the ball a ton. Neither one of them have been in those situations. So I'm excited to see what they do when they play some other teams.
I think they have an out with Samuel after this year that's pretty good, and if Moore does have an opportunity to find an expanded role in Buffalo, I wouldn't be surprised if they take that out with Samuel and take Moore as his kind of replacement and give him a deal.
Yeah,
I hate that.
I was gonna also bring that comment up and just kind of ask you guys, which sounds like it is Curtis Samuel kind of falling down in the pecking order and going to be that guy that maybe his role really is kind of similar to what we saw last year, maybe even less, like where he's, you kind of are underwhelmed by him. So, we talked about Elijah Moore, we talked about Josh Palmer, Keon Coleman, Shakir's going to be there. I mean, that's 4 receivers right there, and that's not even including Kincaid or Knox. So it's like Lance and I a few shows ago talked about targets and where the target's going to go. And mine right in front of me, I originally had Curtis Samuel at 25 tied with Moore for 25 catches on the season. Is that now kind of teetering where you see maybe Moore might go up and you might see Curtis Samuel go down? That sounds like all 3 of us might be in a kind of wondering that and seeing if that can that's going to come to fruition there with Samuel kind of falling down. And I'm glad, Lance, that you mentioned the out after this year, because I think that was something some people were looking at this year. It wouldn't have really been an out, but just maybe bite the money now. Next year, yeah, it does seem a little bit more like a possibility unless he comes out and really performs this season.
I think they have a good, clear plan with him, so I think they're not worried about forcing it so early in camp. I think they want to get their work in with him as much as they can, but I feel like they're really trying to figure out some more specific things with these other guys, and that's why it's more intentional and it's more it's kind of more spotlighted. Whereas I think they kind of like Joe Brady has a comfort level with Samuel, so I think he already really has the idea, and he doesn't really need to see so much from him, so they're not really putting it out there. That's what I think the real reason is you're seeing some of these other things happen more than you're seeing Samuel. I don't think it's going to take away from what Samuel could do this year in this offense, because you mentioned everybody, it's going to be a game-by-game situation. Bills are going to take what the defense gives them. So if they're giving them Curtis Samuel on a consistent basis, Curtis Samuel is going to have a great year. And if they're giving them, if they're not going to give them that, then somebody else is going to have to step up and have a great year, a la Keon Coleman or Josh Palmer or whomever. And I think that that's really the excitement and the benefit of this offensive philosophy that they have in Buffalo.
Yeah, pretty much just never a bad thing to have too many guys and too many weapons, which obviously we've seen in years past for the Bills has been a problem, not having enough weapons. And this year it seems like, you're a little bit excited for everybody. Samuel, obviously,
really excited for their 28th ranked skill position group.
Yeah, 28th, by the way. But hey, when you got a QB1 that is QB1 in the NFL for last season MVP, you don't really need a top 10. But yeah, I think 28 is definitely a little low. But we did talk about receivers. Now let's get into the other two pass catchers. Obviously, there is a third guy that will be making the team in this group of tight ends. Not sure how much he'll be necessarily used in the pass catching game with Jackson Hawes, but Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid, those two guys that I feel like with Kincaid, it's been a big thing with him about can he take that step? He obviously has not been on the field. I don't know if he practiced today. Did he practice today? Oh, he did practice today. So they're giving him rest days. It was a knee surgery, I believe, for him this past offseason. And it's one of those things where, with guys, you just need them rest days when they're coming back and getting fully back. Knox has also been dealing with something, but I believe he was also back today as well. So both of them are back. You're hoping that both of them can stay healthy because I personally love both of them. I think Knox is one of those guys that is a sneaky one to two catch a game guy, possibly.
Does your girlfriend know about how you feel about them?
No, she doesn't know. And then Kincaid, I've talked all offseason. He could be a guy that could see 90 to 100 targets this year. Could be a big tight end in this league when it comes to whether it's you're looking at real life stats, fantasy stats, just down the line, even in the playoffs, could be a guy that is a go-to guy for Josh Allen. And hopefully Josh can start hitting him on a more consistent basis. So are you guys concerned with really either of them dealing with injuries? And just what do you think about both of them going into the season? Scott, what do you think?
I'm not concerned with either of them dealing with injuries. I know a lot of people have said Kincaid's availability is something they're keeping an eye on because he has been banged up his first two seasons. I'm not worried about him getting kind of a vet rest day, which is essentially what it was on Monday. I don't know if you can call it that when the guy's only been in the league for 2 years, but with knee soreness, because when you have a surgery, when you ramp up activity, you're going to have some soreness, and it's not worth pushing it on July 28th or whatever day it was if it maybe sets him back further down the line. So this is a big season for both of them because Dawson Knox took a restructured deal instead of probably the Bills moving on from him to save cap. So he has to show that he still has a role on this team. And then Kincaid last season, I think the concern with his performance last year was overblown. He missed 3 games. Josh missed him a lot. He was playing through a pretty significant knee injury, so he wasn't quite the same. So I think this season he will take a big step forward. I don't know if he'll be a 1,000-yard guy like some people, including us, were saying last offseason, but I think he gets up there to 750, 800 yards and is a big part of this offense because the Bills need him to be. When he's at his best, the offense is at his best. So I'm not concerned with either one of them in their injuries. They're both fully practicing now, and they haven't even broken camp yet. So we're not even in August. So the fact that they're both practicing in full, I don't think gives us any worry for them once the season comes around. But as we've seen with how often the Bills like to go jumbo packages, both of these tight ends are very important and they're both good pass catchers. So they're going to play a big role in the offense. So hopefully we have them all guns blazing come September.
Yeah, Kincaid's going to be the best there is, plain and simple. He's going to wake up every morning and piss excellence, I think, this year. So that's my expectation. And third-year leap, right, for the guy?
What if he doesn't shoot Big Red?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I wonder if he'll put a Fig Newton sticker on his visor. But Knox dealing with things, is what it is. I think, that he's back. Hopefully nothing else pops up. That's what I'm going to be looking for. Hopefully he can stay clear of any more issues. And looked like he was running comfortably out there today on the videos I saw. So I don't have any major concern. And I have probably even larger expectations for Kincaid than Scott does, even though his were fairly lofty. I think, I want him to be in that 900-yard range, hopefully, and just really, separate himself as one of the elite tight ends in this league. He's drafted in a position where that's sort of the expectation for me.
Yeah. I mean, I've been talking about it all offseason, how excited I am if Kincaid can be healthy this whole season. And if Josh can, again, hit him when he is open, because obviously there were a lot of times last year where Josh did miss him. Unfortunately, our MVP is not perfect, just like every quarterback is not perfect. But yeah, we're excited. I love both of these guys. I know, especially Dawson Knox, a lot of people were talking about his money and really just kind of talking about, would he be back this season? Because do they look to find a way out on his contract or whatever it was? And I think a lot of fans were very happy that they worked it out, and he is back in this Bills uniform, and hopefully again he can prove that he is worth what they are giving him. So, that's going to do it for the offense. Like we said, with the running game, offensive line, it's a little tougher to kind of get into until you start seeing preseason. You start really getting into full-on football. So maybe they'll touch on it a little bit in the Hard Knocks episode coming up. I believe it comes out on the 5th, if I'm not
Tuesday.
Yeah, so Tuesday the 5th, that will be coming out. Maybe they'll touch on, you definitely see some Deion Dawkins in there. Probably hear a little bit about James Cook's contract situation. So when it comes to the running back room, offensive line, maybe you'll see that touched on a little bit early on. But other than that, it's a little tough to kind of get into the running game and just those guys when it comes to their actual play, because you kind of have to see it in live action. And James Cook, we've talked plenty about his contract situation, so we're not even going to touch it. Let's get into the defense, though. There's the first two guys that we have here, actually two guys that Lance and I had touched on earlier in the show. Matt Milano is the first guy. So Matt Milano, I mean, he's the guy that, like I said, is coming back, looking great. The duo is more what I want to kind of get into with Bernard and Matt Milano. One, are you guys concerned that either of them will get injured going into the season or throughout the season? And two, if they both stay healthy, what really are your expectations for these two guys at the linebacking duo? So Lance, what do you think?
Linebacking duo, I think can and should be good for as far as health goes. I don't have any reason to be concerned that they'll not be healthy. I think Milano had some bad luck and appears to have shaken that. I think, 80 to 90% of what Matt Milano was before injuries is going to be way better than a lot of players at their best anyway. So really love what we're seeing. Again, such a refreshing thing to see these guys who have worked so hard kind of trend towards getting what they deserve. And you hope that he can play this full season and really help this team out in the ways we know he can, flying around, getting the ball, not only in the pass game, but, making big plays in the run game as well. Seems to be something he's very good at. Really all around one of the best linebackers you could have in football at his top end. So how far back to that top end can he get? 80 to 90% of it would be amazing to me. Terrell Bernard, again, I don't see anything that tells me he couldn't stay healthy, and expect him to take even another step forward and raising himself in the conversation for where he's at in the pecking order in the league of best middle linebackers.
Yeah, given the two of them and their track record, I would be shocked if both of them played 17 games each. If they can both play 14 to 15 games, I think the Bills are in an awesome spot. Like, that would be best case scenario for me, because they've both been banged up in the past and missed games here and there. Milano obviously more than Bernard, but Bernard only played 13 games last season, so he missed a few. But yeah, Milano looks awesome. And like you said, Lance, 90% of Matt Milano is better than damn near anybody else. So if he can be fully healthy, and he was showing those signs at the end of last year, the Ravens and Chiefs games, he played awesome. He made some huge plays that saved points from going on the scoreboard. The 2-point conversion play against the Ravens, the first one, not the one that Andrews dropped. And then he had a big sack on third down against the Chiefs on their first drive out of halftime. So if they can both stay healthy and they can both play at their potential, Bernard, you hope, takes that step forward, like you mentioned. This is going into year 4 for him, and he's shown he has a nose for the football. He's always in the right spot. If he can just take his game to the next level, get 85-90% of Matt Milano, it's probably the best linebacker duo in the league, which would be awesome to see. So, yeah, hopefully they're both on the field the whole year, and we keep talking about Matt Milano and how good he is, and they feel foolish for voiding the rest of his contract.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when they're healthy, I've said it, I think they're the best duo in the league. Obviously, there is that concern, though, with, I know, Lance, you might have said that they are bad luck injuries, but I think it's also just the style of play Matt Milano plays. He plays fast. He plays physical. He is a guy that is going to go get the ball, and sometimes when you have that style of play, bad luck injuries happen. So my only concern would be one of them getting an injury just with the style of football that they play. But if they're both on the field, especially when it comes playoff time, I mean, you're not looking for a better duo in the league because there isn't one. So, yeah, I'm glad to have him back. Glad to hear that Matt Milano's looking good. Terrell Bernard, like I said, taking that leap, 58-8. Hopefully they can show the league what they're all about and lead this defense here. And as Doug also mentioned, he does think they're one of the best duos in the league. That's the big thing there in that second sentence, and finish the playoffs if they can finish the playoffs. But yes, it is always good to have Dorian Williams there as a third guy, just because he can make some plays as well. So yeah, that's going to do for the linebacker talk, though. Let's get into the second guy that Lance talked about a little bit earlier. So Lance, you can start us off if you have anything else you want to say about him. But Tre White is back, man. He looks great. He's back in the Bills system. I mean, like Scott mentioned a little earlier too, he kind of did look better towards the end of the season last year. But where is your confidence level? Like, do you realistically think he can keep this cornerback 2 for the entire season with the full workload? Kind of keep pushing Hairston down and keep pushing Dorian Strong down, pushing everybody else down below him and say, no, this is my spot for the season. Like, what do you think he can do that?
Yeah. I'm super stoked for Tre White. I think that, as long as he could stay healthy, and I think he got his full off season in, said he feels great. I really think we can go back and take the clip and parade it around the internet that we thought he was going to be the week 1 starter 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, whenever the show was that we predicted that. But the fact is,
we're not going to do that.
We're not going to do that. I'm not going to. You guys are welcome to do that. I'm just going to know that I said it and be happy in my own mind. And if anyone watching,
we got good sources.
Yeah, if anybody watching wants to give us our flowers on that when the time comes, we'll take them. But anyway, I think Tre, old Uncle Tre coming back is it's a breath of fresh air. I think he's certainly capable and shown that so far. And yeah, I expected him from many weeks ago to be the week 1 starter, and I think he can carry that until Hairston's ready. And I think he won't. I don't think he's going to need to go through the whole season. I think they're going to have some load management with him, even if Hairston's missing time. Dorian Strong's there, and I think they're going to not be shy about throwing this kid in. We'll see him even more in the preseason and how he kind of ups his game, moving towards giving Tre a break at times if they need to, and see what he can do against some competition. But I think Tre continues to be healthy as long as there's not a freak accident, and can last the whole season.
Yeah, I hope Tre stays healthy. He's just such a good dude. He means so much to this organization. He was the first pick of the McDermott era. He and Deion Dawkins, and I'm sure this will be on Hard Knocks. But you saw the clip going around of Tre with Deion's kids, like calling him Uncle Tre, and it's just like, it just makes your heart feel good for those two guys who are so big to what the Bills have become, and they were the first 2 picks of the McDermott era, and they're still here. Obviously, Tre went away for a season, but had an awesome defensive pass interference that led to one of the Bills' touchdowns in that game. So he still helped. But it's just awesome that they're here and they're playing well, and you feel good for Tre. You hope he can stay healthy. And do I think he can be the cornerback 2 and play every snap of the whole season? I don't know, but the good news is he's not going to have to. Max Harrison is going to build up, and hopefully he takes the role over by the end of the year, because that's the way it should work. He's the first round pick who should come in and take it. But awesome to see that Tre is looking good. Really excited for him, and hopefully we don't have to find out if he can be the CP2 all season because someone steps up. But having Tre White as a depth cornerback, you're not going to find much better than that. So really happy at how he's starting, because he's put in the work, and excited to see him out there week 1.
Yeah, I mean, you guys talked about hoping he stays healthy, man. If he gets another injury in a Bills uniform, that's a bad one. That's going to be one of those things where Bills Mafia is going to lose it, because everybody loves this guy. He is, like you said, the first pick of the McDermott era. Everybody just wants him to succeed, and I hope that he can stay healthy. I really do, because he is a phenomenal person, player, teammate, everything that you can kind of ask for in a player in the NFL. So, hoping he can. Whether he does keep that cornerback 2 job the entire season, I do think it will depend a little bit on game plan. I know Doug kind of brought up this comment: if the team plays more one-on-one, do you think he can hold up? I think he will against certain teams, but as Lance said, it will help that he will have safety linebacker help. As the season goes on, maybe they do switch it up in terms of certain games, if there's a speedier receiver or anything like that, or a guy that they think, hey, Harrison lines up better with him, or Dorian Strong lines up better against him, or maybe Tre's having an off day and they switch it up, So I'm not sure if he'll be able to keep it the entire season. I do think that the first few weeks it will be his until, he has a quarter or two that he struggles, which gives Harrison a chance to kind of step up, or Dorian Strong to step up to say, hey, I want some more reps here too. And I do think they also will just give Harrison and Strong a little bit more reps as time goes on as well. So, and who knows, but there might be Cam Lewis in that mix as well. But Cam Lewis is probably going to be more on the nickel side than the outside side, or outside corner position there. So when it comes to cornerback too, we'll see. But either way, just hoping that he stays healthy, man, because I think all Bills Mafia, like I said, would lose their minds if he ended up getting injured again in a Bills uniform. Just because, like I said, you can't ask for a better player to root for than Tre White for the Bills. Last thing we got here, though, is
before we get there, the game might start soon. Before we get down the D line, Scott, who's going to win the Hall of Fame game, so people can get their Scott lock bets in on.
Oh man,
come on. Plus 105 Chargers. I had to take them. Had to take Chargers plus 105.
I was also thinking Chargers. I think Trey Lance is better than DJ Uiagalelei. But I took the under. Took under 33.5 because these games are always kind of ugly. It's going to suck. I hate rooting for the under, but these games are always so ugly. But excited to watch guys on the field.
Yeah.
Coming up soon. So we're going to get off of the airwaves pretty quickly. And Schuper, do you got a pick for the game?
I'll go Chargers as well. When it comes to preseason, I think a lot of it also has to do with coaching. And Harbaugh, I think, is a pretty good coach in this league. So
good segue here. Speaking of Chargers, former Charger.
Yeah, former Charger Joey Bosa. We're talking about the defensive line here. He's looking good. Looks like the rookies are looking good. Scott talked a little bit earlier about Deion Walker. You heard a lot about TJ Sanders coming in. Landon Jackson, haven't heard a ton about, but another guy that people are excited for. So you have a lot of rookies on that line. Got a lot of new guys coming in. We've talked about it a lot this offseason, but they're looking now improved, which is the important part. You can hear all about the signings, you can hear all about the picks and get excited for it. But once you start getting the pads on, once you start seeing it now with some, maybe not 100% action, but you're seeing it at least, that can get you excited. So what do you guys think about the defensive line? Lance, we'll start with you.
I just haven't really gotten to a point where I want to spend a bunch of time watching the defensive line as of yet. Like, they're not turtles getting out of their stance. So that's really the criteria I have for them at this point, showing some explosive nature. And, Michael Hoyt was blowing past the tackles when they didn't have pads on. And I was like, cool, like doesn't have pads on. So I don't know how to feel about it yet, but I do love the excitement around TJ Sanders, and I'm excited to see what they can show in person tomorrow during the scrimmage. So that's really going to be a focus of mine to see my first live action with those guys in what we will see out of the scrimmage. And then really going into the preseason, once we can get some tape on them in this defense, will be when I really dive into evaluating them. Right now, it's really just sort of like, yeah, they're doing what they should at this point, and I'm happy that they're not being criticized too much at this stage. I really don't know that there really can be a ton of criticism at this point.
Yeah, I'm just happy that they're all staying healthy, especially with some of the guys like you mentioned, Joey Bosa. So far, he looks like Joey Bosa. They've been bringing him along slow, giving him some vet rest days, which is what he's going to need throughout the whole season. Same with Ogunjobi. The big thing with this D-line is just keep everybody healthy and try to get everybody some reps when you can, because it's a really deep group. It's maybe the deepest group on the team. So just get everybody reps, see what they can do. I know they mentioned Javon Solomon looks like a Babbitt Advanced presser. Javon Solomon looks like a different player this season. If he can come in and take meaningful snaps. Epinesa looks good, in a contract season, trying to stay in the league in all likelihood. So it's good to see that, like you mentioned, Lance, limited stuff so far because they're not wearing pads, but you can still see some stuff without pads. They're not going any less hard.
They're wearing them now, so now you can really start, but it's just a matter of I haven't really seen enough to do any sort of evaluation. That's where I'm kind of waiting on maybe tomorrow getting a look, and then maybe, once the preseason really starts and we can get some film on it would be nice.
Right. But it's good to see the guys look explosive and the rookies look like what they were advertised as. Like you won't be able to tell till you play somebody else, and probably till you play somebody else in the game that matters. But just happy to see that everybody is healthy on the D-line for the most part, knock on wood, and guys are looking explosive. Excited to see what the group can do. It's a good group this year.
Glad you're not.
Yeah, we're really going to find out week 1 straight away. So,
yeah, absolutely.
I'm glad you knocked on wood there. I was going to tell you to if you didn't, because that's something that tomorrow all of a sudden you don't want. You don't want that hanging over your head there, Scott, if something happens tomorrow. It's
put that on me, Ricky Bobby.
Well, hey, you're not, so should be good. It is exciting just to hear about it. You obviously, like Lance said, you're not, until it gets to week 1, you start to see it live. It's a little bit different, but it is awesome just to hear, just because I feel like the past few years you haven't really heard too much excitement around the defensive line as a whole. Maybe you've heard a little bit about Rousseau past few years, a little bit about Ed Oliver. Some of the new guys the past few seasons, a little bit, but I feel like this season you're really hearing, you've heard a lot about TJ Sanders. You've heard a lot about Deion Walker. You're hearing great things from not just 1, 2 guys. You're hearing it from 3, 4, 5 different guys that are looking good. So we'll see, obviously, when it does get to live football. But, it seems like they went D-line heavy. They looked into it. They said, this is something we want to fix. And hopefully these guys are the right guys, and going into the season, they can continue this praise. And by the end of the season, we can look back and say, wow, I'm glad they didn't draft a wide receiver in this draft until the 7th round. And they did go defensive line. So we'll obviously, see what it's like at the end of the season. But I do think a lot of Bills fans will be happy with this group by the end of the season.
Right on. Yeah, that's our show for you. Go enjoy the Hall of Fame game. Chargers and
Titans.
Titans, that's what it is. Thank you very much. And also, Built in Buffalo, sponsored by Monster Energy, the official energy partner of Built in Buffalo. Please like and share this if you haven't already.
Chargers Lions.
Chargers Lions. What's this guy doing?
I was like, I don't think that's right.
I did not. Didn't have it there. Apologize for that. All right. Well, obviously Ben and I are fired here, and Scott's going to take over. So you'll just see him next week since he's the man of knowledge. Now, please go out and like the Built in Buffalo YouTube page. Subscribe to that. Get the notifications when we're live. We got the Founders Pod coming up on Saturday nights with Akeem and Dave. Super good show there, and all the great other podcasts we have. Tuesdays are usually the Two Goalies, One Mike Sabers show here for Built in Buffalo. And then T and her gang, Not Your Average Podcast and 716 does their thing Thursday afternoon. So be on the lookout for all her great content as well. And everything else that the Built in Buffalo team is doing. We'll have more to come as the season draws near. With that being said, go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.